Hello, everyone. My name is Alicia Hill Jones, and I'm an inspirational fiction author as well as the owner of Destiny 11 Publications, which is an independent book publishing services company. And in this presentation, I wanted to give aspiring authors a high level overview of the process of self publishing a book. I know that ever since I became an author, I get a lot of questions on the book publishing process. So hopefully, this will help answer some questions that you may have. So I titled this presentation The Birth of a Book because to me the process is similar to carrying and giving birth to a baby. Now I will admit that publishing a book is not as intense as giving birth to a child. I can attest to that. I have two children myself. But there are some similarities. For instance, it takes months and sometimes years for an idea for a book to grow inside of you before you actually decide to push your precious thoughts and words out on paper. So in this presentation, I will be sharing with you my experience and what I've learned as a self-published author, and I will be focusing on 5 key areas. First will be the manuscript, second, the book design, third, editing and printing, fourth, the administrative work, and fifth would be marketing and promoting, which is a very big piece of publishing your book. Now, as I go through this presentation, I want you to think about some things. And one thing I want you to have in mind is your writing goal. Ask yourself, why do I want to write? Do I have a unique story to tell and tell it in my own style and in my own way? And is your writing going to be for the short term or long term? Are you just doing this to publish a couple of books to pass along to your friends and family? Or are you in this for the long term? Maybe you want to make a full-time career out of it. Also, what do you want to write about? Is there something that's you have a pressing idea inside of you that you feel led to share with the world? And who is your audience going to be? You want to keep your audience in mind throughout your writing process. So you need to hone on exactly who's your audience going to be. Are you going to write for children? Are you going to write for young adults? Are you going to write for adults? And what genre are you going to write in? Are you going to do romance? Are you going to do inspirational fiction like I do? So think about these things as you go along in this presentation. And one thing along the lines of your audience, remember that your book is not going to be for everybody. I know some authors make this mistake thinking that their book will appeal to everybody, and that's not the case. So you have to have a target audience if you want your book to be successful. Before we get into the key elements of actually producing a book, I want to take a moment and define what self-publishing is for those of us who have heard the term used, but really not sure what it is. So basically, self-publishing is a method of publishing where the author provides or coordinates all of the resources and funding to publish their book. And through this process, they have total control over the book design, the formatting of the book, the price of the book, getting their book out there to the market, which is your distribution, and actually doing the marketing and promoting of the book, letting everyone know that your book is out there for sale. Now, some authors choose to do all of this themselves, like I've chosen, or some of them just want to strictly stick to writing. They don't want to get involved in all of the administrative work involved in producing the book, so they outsource this to companies such as mine to do it for them. So it's totally up to you what you want to do as far as being involved in producing your book. But just know that there is help out there for you if you don't want to do all of it yourself. First, I want to talk about the most important element of producing a book, and that is the manuscript. So here you definitely want to take some time and put some care into producing the best manuscript that you can. So the first thing I want to recommend is researching your topic or your theme, whether you are writing nonfiction or fiction. You're probably going to do more research for nonfiction, but it's okay to do some for fiction because you may want to add some factual information, some real events that may have taken place, especially if you're doing historical fiction. So do as much research as you can up front, but remember that you're going to probably research throughout the writing process as you're adding stuff into your story. And if you're going to write about something that's already been written about before, that's okay, because your style is going to make that topic fresh. And that's where research comes in and makes it helpful for you. Next, choose a length of book. And I have a list here of types of books and based on word count. So what this is going to do is give you an idea of what you're shooting for based on the type of book that you're writing. So how much do you need to write? A lot of authors say you should write every day. And I would say write as much as your schedule allows. Everybody has a different lifestyle. So don't feel bad if you can't write every day. That's great if you can. My hat is off to you. But for me, my creativity doesn't come every day. So I may find myself writing a couple of times a week or maybe even once a week. And that's okay. Don't beat yourself up if you can't write something every day, because writer's block is real. So just try to write as much as you can. Every day I will recommend doing something writing related, and that's whether you're brainstorming an idea, you're doing research, or you're learning about the writing craft. Do something writing related every day to keep your momentum going and keep you motivated to get your manuscript written. Next, resist the urge to edit or proofread while you write. This can really delay your process. If you go back after you write something and proofread it every time, it's going to take you forever to finish your book. And keep in mind that after you have written your book, you're going to have it professionally edited. And the editor is going to help you tighten your writing up. They're going to help you with story and character development. So don't feel like you have to present them with the best perfect manuscript, because they're going to help you get your book to where you want it to be. So resist that urge to go back and change things. That's one reason why I haven't even read my first 2 books, even though they're published already. I haven't went back to read them because I know it's going to be something that I wished I put in or I wish I would have taken out. So just resist that urge to proofread during your writing process. And finally, attend writer conferences, seminars, workshops, any kind of courses on the writing craft. This will only help you to grow as a writer. This should be one of your goals as a writer, to never stop learning. This is actually a goal that we all should have in life. There's always new tips and techniques we can learn to help make us better in the things that we do. So definitely try to attend, conferences, seminars, and things like that to help you become a better writer. Now let's talk about book design, which is where your book cover and page layout is going to come into play. Here I have listed the formats of a book. You have your hardcover, your paperback, your ebook, which is very popular these days, and it's been that way for the past few years. In 2012, ebooks accounted for 23% of book sales, and I'm sure that number is much higher for 2013. Ebooks have been very popular due to the Amazon Kindle, the Barnes & Noble Nook, the iPad, where you can put all these different ebook reader apps on the iPad. I recommend that no matter what other format you put your book in, that you definitely have an ebook version. And ebooks are very inexpensive to produce. Probably less expensive than any other format that's listed here. So you definitely got to have an ebook for your book because of its popularity. Now, audiobooks is where a narrator actually reads your book and it's produced on a CD format. I know they used to be produced on cassette tapes. That's probably has went away. That's ancient now. I know now you can even download them from sites such as audible.com. So the CDs are probably going to be obsolete after a while here. But that's just another format that you can put your book in. Now, the size of a book, and here I just have listed a novel size, the standard sizes. They're all sizes and shapes of books, but for the sake of this presentation, I'm just focusing on your standard novel sizes. And the paperback is a 5.5 by 8.5, and standard hardcover is 6.5 by 9.5. But like I said, this is just standard. We have all shapes and sizes of books. So it's basically up to you and how you want to market your book, what size your book is actually going to be. Now I want to talk about editing and printing your book. Editing is one of the most important pieces of publishing your book, so you don't want to cut corners or skim when it comes to hiring a professional editor. You want someone who has the skills and knows the technical aspects of editing a book. So this person shouldn't be just a family member or friend or someone you know who loves to read books or who has read a lot of books, because your editor is going to go beyond just looking for grammatical or punctuation errors. They're going to actually dig into story development. They're going to dig into character development, the structure of your paragraph, your chapters, even down to your sentences and the words that you use. So you need someone who actually has these skills and does this on a regular basis. So what you want to do is get at least 3 quotes, and you want to compare the services as well as the prices. But don't always go for the lowest bid. You want to consider what this person is going to offer or bring to your book, to your project. So you want to hire someone who understands the vision for your work and your style of writing. So finding someone who is experienced in editing books in your genre is great. Definitely try to find someone who is familiar with how a story in your particular category should be written. And you want to check for references. Find out who this editor has worked with before and contact them, finding out how their experience was with the editor. You do not want to edit your own book because you are too close to the project. You probably have went over the words hundreds and hundreds of times, and therefore your eyes have gotten trained to seeing what you've written, and you are bound to miss some mistakes. And also, as an author, you may not have those editing skills and know the technical things that go into editing a book. So do not attempt to edit your own book. You definitely want to invest in a professional editor. This is so important. Next, let's talk about printing companies and how to choose one. Again, here I would get at least 3 quotes. And just to give you some background, the types of printing that are available out there for self-publishers, one is called print on demand, POD. And this is a type of technology in which the books are actually printed when they are ordered. So when someone places an order from you, you can then submit that order to the printer, and then they will print the book with me, which means you can actually print a book one at a time, which may not be the most economical thing to do. It may be expensive to do that, but it is an option. Short run is similar, where you can print a small number of books, but you're not going to be doing them one at a time. You're not going to be doing them as you get orders. You're going to place a small number of books, an order for a small number of books, or even a large number of books to be printed at one time. So ultimately, what you want to do is choose the type of printing company that will best meet the projected demands of your book. You also want to request samples of the printer's work so you can look at the quality of their work. When you first print your books, start with a small number unless you have a rock solid marketing plan where you can sell a huge number of books in one print run. If you can do that, great. But if you don't feel like you can do that first starting out, go ahead and start out with a small number of books, because you don't want to be left with a garage or a house full of books that you can't sell. And finally, if you can find a printer in your local area where you can actually pick up your books after they've been printed, that's great, because that will save you on shipping costs. Because out-of-town printers will charge you for shipping based on the weight of your books, which can go up if you're printing a large number of books. As you go throughout the writing process and preparing your book for publication, there are some administrative things that will have to take place. One of those things is deciding how much your book will cost. And setting the price is totally up to you. However, be sure it's comparable to books that are similar to yours. Things you want to consider are the genre, the page count, the size of the book, and the book format. Don't simply price your book to gain a large profit, because what may happen is that you will outprice yourself compared to the competitors, and the readers will be turned away. Next would be your library catalog number, which is also known as the LCCN or the PCN. And this number is used by librarians to access information associated with your book if they would like to carry it in their library. And what they're doing is accessing the Library of Congress's database where your book will be listed based on the LCCN number. So if you want your book eligible to be carried by libraries, you will need this number, and it's no cost to obtain it. Next will be obtaining an ISBN. And the ISBN is the International Standard Book Number, and it identifies the title of your book as well as the publisher to be contacted for things such as ordering. Now, this is required if you want your book marketed in libraries, bookstores, or with wholesalers. And no matter who publishes your book, and this is important, make sure that you own the ISBN. Make sure the ISBN is actually in your name, because if it's in the publisher name, this can limit how you can market your book or what other things you can do with your book. So just make sure that when you obtain an ISBN number that it is under your name. An ISBN will have to be obtained for each format of your book. So if you're doing an ebook, a paperback book, an audio book, and a hardcover book, that means you will need 4 separate ISBN numbers for those formats. And right now, the price of a single ISBN is $125. Next is the barcode. And this is used to identify your book for retail purposes. It's that code that we see on the back of every product sold in a retail store. And the single cost of a barcode right now is $25. And if you're planning on selling your book, whether it's online or actually in a retail store, you will need a barcode. Next is the copyright. Once your book is in final formatting, means that you have already been through the editing process, that probably will be a good time to get your copyright. So you're going to fill out the copyright form, which you can find online, and it will protect your work either for published works or unpublished work. So even if you haven't actually published your manuscript yet, but it's done, you do want to go ahead and get a copyright for it. And the filing cost right now for a copyright is $65. Now, this is optional. If you want a challenge and you want the thrill of actually owning your own publishing company, this may be something you want to consider doing. And in order to do that, you want to determine first, is your company going to be a sole proprietorship, a LLC, or a corporation? You're going to need to obtain a business license, open a personal business checking account, because you're going to need to keep your personal funds separate from your business funds. And you're going to keep all receipts for your book related expenses for tax filing purposes. So even if you don't own a publishing company, even as an author, you can use your book related expenses as tax deduction. So definitely keep this in mind, because some authors may not know this. So keep track of those receipts and those book related expenses. Now let's talk about marketing and promoting your book, which is another big and important piece of publishing a book. Whether you decide to self-publish your book or go with a traditional publisher, as an author, you will be heavily involved in getting the word out about your book. I know that when I started writing, I thought that if I go with a traditional publisher, I wouldn't have to worry about the marketing and promoting, that they would do all of it for me, and that is far from the truth. So, let's talk about some of the common ways of marketing and promoting your book, and I have some listed here. I won't go over all of them. I will touch on some of the most common ones and some of the ones that I've actually used to market my books. Now, first, before we get into the different types of marketing, you have to have a marketing plan, and this will help you to determine how you will sell your books and where you will focus your time and resources. So as you implement some of these marketing techniques, try to keep track of your sales that are coming from each of them, because then you will see where you need to focus most of your time and your resources. And if you spend money on marketing opportunities, spend wisely. Set a reasonable budget and stick with it, because you don't want to go into debt in trying to create this grand marketing plan. You want to stay within your budget, and you want to make sure that you're getting some book sales off of your different marketing techniques. So be wise about spending money on your promotion opportunities. So now let's get into some of these that I have listed. Social media. Social media will be your Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, and some of the new ones I've heard about would be Google Plus and Divine. These are all ways that you can get out there and spread the word about your book. And the great thing about social media is that it's free. So definitely take advantage of getting out there, signing up for these accounts, and spreading the word about your book. Next, you want to have a website. And whether you do this website yourself or you have it professionally done, you want to make sure it is a quality website. This is somewhere where your readers are going to go to learn more about you and about your book. So you definitely want your website to reflect the quality of your book. Next would be book trailers. Book trailers are similar to the previews that you see at movies. Some of them use photos, some of them have narrative in them. You have your video clips, which make it really look like a movie preview. If you want to see an example of a movie trailer, you can check mine out on my website, aliciahilljones.com, and it will give you an idea of some of the things you can do with a book trailer. Book trailers are really, really cool. Next, making contact with book clubs. This is a great way for you to interact with your fans and actually get support from them. Book clubs, definitely, when they support an author, they love to get the word out about that author, telling other people outside of the club about the book. So definitely connect with your book clubs. Book signings. Book signings are great to market your book, and they don't always have to be in a bookstore. Try to think of some non-traditional places where you could have a book signing. Maybe think of some of the places that you mentioned in your book, and you may be able to find those places that you can have a book signing. Next will be a press release. Press releases are a formal way of letting the media know that you have a book out there for sale and what your book is about. Press releases can work for fiction or nonfiction books. I personally think they work better for nonfiction, because if your book is on a topic that the media is interested in, they have a way of finding out about your book and actually contacting you for future interviews. So definitely do press releases. Press releases are inexpensive to do. Next would be contests and giveaways. Everybody likes to get something for free. Whether you give away copies of your books, or you can do little trinkets like pencils, pens, notepads, bookmarks, anything related to your book. Have a contest or a giveaway. That would definitely draw interest to your book and gain you some readers. And another thing you want to do, write more books. Writing more books can definitely be a way of marketing your current book, because if people enjoy the books that you have out, they're going to want more. Readers are going to want to read more of your work. So keep your energy flowing. While you're out there marketing one book, have another book, a work in progress that you're working on. So that way you can keep readers interested in what you're doing. One of the most important things, or most important ways to market your book, is building relationships with your readers. I think this is more important. Letting them getting to know you, because if they know you and they love your work, they're going to support it. And word of mouth is still the best form of advertising out there. It's not only a good form of advertising, it is free. So definitely build relationships with your readers. Be genuine and open with them. And social media gives us a great way of building relationships with the readers. Now, if marketing is just not your thing, you may find that you need a little more help with it. And there are a ton of marketing seminars out there. There are a lot of people doing marketing seminars online, and they're doing it for free. So definitely do some Googling to see if you can find some of these seminars. And again, if marketing just is something that you're not interested in doing, remember it's gonna have to be done if you want to get the word out about your book. So maybe you can consider hiring a marketing firm to do that work for you, but keep in mind that it could be expensive. So if you can do the marketing yourself, go out there and give it a try. In this presentation, I've given you a high-level overview of the self-publishing process, and I hope that I've answered many of the questions that you may have had. But like with anything that you're learning for the first time, I recommend doing your homework, reading and learning as much about the topic as you can until you feel comfortable with it. So here I have listed some of the resources that have helped me along my self-publishing journey. The first one is a book titled Self-Publishing Manual by Dan Poynter. This book is great. It walks you step by step through the process of actually taking your manuscript from on paper to an actual published book. Highly recommend this book. The next book that I recommend is 1000 Ways to Market Your Book by John Cremer. This book is excellent in showing you so many different ways to market your book, some traditional, some non-traditional, ways that you may not have even thought of. So definitely add this book to your shelf. Next is actually a blog that I ran across, and it's called the Self-Published Authors Lounge, and it's on WordPress.com. And if you subscribe to them, periodically they send tips and information on self-publishing covering a wide range of topics, from writing your book, from marketing your book, just different information and tidbits on things about self-publishing that I have found to be very valuable. So definitely tap into that resource. And last is the Writer's Digest. This is a magazine that's published monthly, and they also have an email list where they send you tips on writing. Tap into the Writer's Digest, get you a magazine subscription. It's not very expensive, and you can learn a wealth of things on the writing craft. In the beginning of this presentation, I told you that I was an inspirational fiction author and that the title of this presentation was Birth of a Book. So just like any proud mother, of course I had pictures of my babies. So here are my novels that I self-published, Blessings of Purpose and When Two Become One. These books are available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and they're also available in paperback and ebook format. These books have been such a great accomplishment to me. I enjoy writing them. I enjoy getting the feedback that I've been getting from readers. So this is what, after you put in all the hard work, the blood, the sweat, and the tears, you can have a chance to look at your final product and hold your babies in your hand and just have such a good feeling about it. So now it's time to birth your book. In this presentation, I've given you a basic overview of self-publishing a book, but maybe it sounds too overwhelming for you and you've decided that you just want to stick with writing the books, and that's fine. As I said before, help is available. My company, Destiny 11 Publications, offers authors several services to help them take their book from manuscript to an actual published book. Here I have listed some of the services that we offered, and these are individual services that we can tailor to your needs. We also offer a full book publishing services package. To find out details about these services, you can visit our website, www.destiny11.com, and there we will have all of the details about our services as well as our submission guidelines. I hope this presentation has answered many of the questions that you've had about self-publishing a book. Please feel free to share this video with any other aspiring authors that you know. I thank you for your time and your attention in viewing this presentation, and I wish you much success with publishing and selling your books. Thank you.